If I were God, I will change my mind at a point. I will tell the devil to stop. But he turned his face completely and allowed the devil to do his worst. In fact, God permitted his enemies to plunder him, to attack him. And in this kind of situation, if you are hoping on God for salvation, for protection, he would leave you alone and turn his eyes away and allow your enemies to deal with you. Let's discuss the controversial story of Job. The injustice Job received from not the devil, not his fellow human being, but from God. The very God that confessed with his own mouth that Job is a good man, an upright man. That story breaks me down each time. I know that the story of Job has a lot of lessons. For the purpose of this video, we are concentrating on the controversies surrounding this whole event. In the book of Job, chapter 1, from the beginning, it appeared like there was a meeting of the heavenly hosts and the devil was present. And casually, like they were exchanging pleasantries, God was like, "Hello, Satan, how are you doing? And what have you been up to lately?" And the devil said, "I'm fine, just roaming around the streets as usual." God said, "Did you notice my son, Job?" And he said, "Of course, I noticed him." And God started boasting, "He's a good man and the only upright one." And the devil was like, "Let's hear what. What do you mean by he's an upright man? Is there any human that is upright?" Humans pretend to worship you in spirit and in truth because of what they gain from you. It's not because they love you for who you are. And God was like, "What do you mean by that?" The devil went further to explain. "You promised those people everything good. Who wouldn't pretend to be in love? Who would spit out sugar that is put in their mouths? You not only promised to make things easy for them on earth, you even promised them eternal rest and a place of happiness after their death. So they have nothing to lose for being with you." The devil really provoked God with those claims. The God I know is very jealous. He doesn't like to be challenged. And of course, instead of God to protect his own, he was the one that gave Job up for trials. He now said to Satan, "You can take hold of him. Take everything he has, just for me to prove to you that he loves me beyond material things." And of course, that busybody ran off down to earth to plunder the innocent Job. And I was asking myself, so under what situation can God really fight for us? Because if the bad people are suffering, it will look like they are paying for their sins. In the case of Job, he was suffering for being good. In fact, God permitted his enemies to plunder him, to attack him. And in this kind of situation, if you are hoping on God for protection, he would leave you alone and turn his eyes away and allow your enemies to deal with you. Yes, don't get me wrong. On the day of explanations and lessons, I will bring out all the lessons in this story. But for now, allow me to be a human who reads the story as just anybody and wondering, assuming God is my earthly father, and one of my enemies comes around, planning and plotting on how to destroy me. Would my earthly father not caution the enemy and chase him far away from the family? This was what I expected God to do in the case of Job, to protect his own. He had said that this man is good and upright. Many times he said it. Why then did he allow the innocent to suffer like that? He said to the devil, "Go take away everything he has, but don't hurt him." If God stick to this instruction himself, I wouldn't have felt so bad. But the fact that God later changed his stand on this was the one that hurt me the most. Because after the devil took away everything that Job had, and the poor man still did not complain, did not mock God, God now permitted devil eventually to hurt him, but not to kill him. Till now, I have never seen any man like Job. Not in this life anymore. Job, on the same day, lost everything he had. Every damn thing. Money, investments, family, children, wives. Everything. He lost everything. And the only thing Job said each time was, God gives and he takes away. Glory to his name. If I were God, I will change my mind at a point. I will tell the devil to stop. But he turned his face completely and allowed the devil to do his worst. And of course, women of easy virtue. His wife was the first to leave him when things started falling apart. The very person that was supposed to be there, encouraging him. There was no way the devil didn't try. He even came in form of Job's friends that represented men of God, represented therapists, represented family and friends. They represented everybody that was important to Job. They represented even his best genuine friends. They came, tore their clothes, sat with Job in the dustbin for 7 days, mourning with him, praying with him, and advising him with both good and deceitful words. You know those kind of friends that you cannot throw away their advice because they have been with you through the suffering periods. And when they talk, you will listen, especially when you are vulnerable. That was what they did to Job. But Job was wise. Job was smart. The love Job had for God was burning like fire. It burned off his flesh. And Job still didn't curse God. I know that God later restored everything, many folds back. But so many Christians cannot stand this kind of taste of time and wait till they see the end of it. That is why many people are already losing their faith just because of little test of faith by the country and by the religious leaders that are plundering us, by the government, the very people that are supposed to protect us. With little, just here and there, we are already forsaking God. We are already doing everything we shouldn't do. We are even calling him names and all of that. What God did with Job, was he really right? He knows beforehand that devil is a liar. He knows it. He knows that the devil has no other business with promoting anybody apart from destroying and killing. So why would he be interested in proving any point to someone that has no conscience? If Job was good and faithful, uncle, why does God have to prove this to the devil? Would it make the devil not to try to plunder another person? He even tempted your own son later. So what was the point? Were you going to teach the devil a lesson that you know that he's not interested in learning? The host of all the angels and other people there are lessons for them because we know it was a mixed multitude. The good angels did not even make any effort to speak for Job, to intercede for him. That story leaves me crying each time. Whether the story is real or not, it teaches a lot of lessons each time I read it. I kind of console myself that if someone else could bear this kind of burden and still did not curse God. I have not suffered 1/10 of what Job suffered. I have no reason to question God then, to curse God, or to lose my trust in Him. Do you know that Job's wife said to Job, curse God and die already? The way Job was sitting in the dustbin and scratching his skin with pieces of iron, with the sores all over him, now begging for food, and people will throw dirty, spoiled food at him. Curse God and die. And Job will still look at their faces and say, what nonsense are you talking about? Curse which God? The God that gave me all these things? Well, what do you guys think of this? Was God unfair to Job? My name is Vivian, and I will see you on the next one.